How careful do you need to be when you're buying a PSA slab or any other company's slabs? Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. This is a weird one, I think. This actually was in my newsletter this week, and I don't normally do a video on a topic that I covered as the primary focus point of my newsletter, but this one's important. I wanted to get it out there a little bit bigger here and get your perspective and see if you're aware of this, first of all. So it is what I'm calling slab swap.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
It's when somebody goes in and presumably opens a slab. We're going to use PSA in this example because all of these are PSA slabs. Takes the card out of the slab and replaces it with a lesser card. Puts it back in, reseals it, and then sells it. And then, again, presumably, mails the originally graded card back to PSA to get that one graded again. It's quite a scheme and it's quite a scam, and it's something you need to be very, very cautious of because I'm going to show you, there are a lot of these for sale on eBay. So again, this is in my newsletter this week. You should go subscribe to that. I put out a newsletter every Monday morning with a major topic for an essay, and then I just put in a bunch of updates and things about my channel and things like that. So first of all, I use PSA. I like PSA, as you can tell up here. I am a PSA customer. So, but not so. But I also think that they are a deeply flawed company that needs to be held accountable somehow. And I don't think I'm holding them accountable, and I don't think they really care about this video. But informing you, other PSA customers, that this happens, I think is important. And I don't care, you don't need to comment, grading is such a scam. I know you think that. It's the most common comment on my videos. Grading is such a scam. Why are you watching a video about grading? I think probably because it feeds your hate. It's you just love to hate on grading. So yeah, grading is a scam. Okay, fine. So my subscriber Brian emailed me asking me if I was aware of this Collector's Universe thread on their forum that was going around. And I wasn't. So I went and I read through it, and it's chock full of, well, it starts off with a little conspiracy theory bent with a 1986 Donruss, I think, Nolan Ryan card that was graded a 10, and it's probably like an 8 or a 9. And somebody says, oh, I think it was 4 sharp corners, so PSA has to make their big customer happy. And then somebody else put in another, I don't remember who was the other one, but it was a Probstein card. I'll put it up here. And so this fed into the conspiracy theory that PSA is grading their better. I don't know, maybe Probstein is sending cards into PSA. I really am not sure, but maybe just let me know in comments if Probstein sends cards to PSA. My point being, it started out with a little conspiracy theory, and then it quickly shifted into actually, hey, there's a slightly different and bigger problem here. Somebody posted a George Brett 1975 tops, a PSA 8 slab, clearly not an 8 card. And somebody then went and looked up the cert on PSA and found that it's right, it's not the actual card. The original scan showed a much, much nicer. I have a flag that my neighbors across the street, and they put a flag out. Now the flag waving around in the wind distracts me. So it's going to get closed up again in a minute anyway. So they posted this scan, and it's very clearly a different card. And somebody started going through the seller, Nobility Estate, I think was the name of the seller, looking through all of their cards. And this is not a big seller, but it's a very 100% seller since 2011. They've sold 2,700 items sold. They have dozens of PSA slabs up on their store. So, it's a very reputable store. And somebody reached out to them and said, hey, some of your cards are fake in PSA slabs. And they feigned ignorance. Maybe they didn't feign it. They pleaded ignorance is probably more accurate, because they probably don't know. They're probably taking things on in consignment from people And this is actually how these scammers can easily launder their scams, is they fake cards, they do something scammy, and then they send it to a consignor. They send it to a group submitter to send it to PSA, and they get away with it this way. Just wanted to point out here that after I tweeted about this issue, TiffanyCards.com, another Twitter account, started digging through and really finding a lot of these accounts or these cards on this profile that were fake and did a lot of great work. So I'm going to start putting those up here on the screen. Now, some of these cards were actually deactivated by PSA, and they're still up for sale on eBay by this store. Somebody reported it to eBay. eBay took no action. They reported the items, not the seller. Everybody in the group felt that the seller was on the up and up. But they reported the cards themselves. eBay took no action, saying that they saw nothing wrong with them. eBay knows that their authentication policy should catch that. Now, will the authentication process catch it? That is another question that I addressed in my newsletter a few weeks ago, that there are so many loopholes that you can get through the authentication. The one that really worries me is I have a P.O. box as my address, and the authentication says that it won't mail to P.O. boxes now. I have people who responded to my newsletter and said, I have a P.O. box too, and it has still sent to my newsletter, to my P.O. box. So maybe sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. I'm not really sure. Here's an example of a Johnny Bench rookie that sold for $1,825. It has been deactivated. PSA 8 Yaz rookie, which very clearly is not an 8. It might have even been trimmed, and I think it has a crease. Not to mention the fact that it was inserted backwards into the PSA slab. Sold for $2,222. That Brett rookie, PSA 8, sold for $635. Now, many of these cards have been deactivated by PSA. But to know this, you could sell them at a card show, deactivated. eBay's authentication policy or process is not going to protect you at a card show or at a trade night or anything like that. You need to go in and look up each certification on PSA's website. What I recommend is that you inspect a card, even if it's slabbed already, even if it's by a reputable company, one of the 4 big companies. Inspect the card. Look at the front, look at the back. Does it look like it's in the correct graded slab? And then go to the certification lookup. PSA started including scans a few years ago. I actually tweeted at Ryan Hodge asking him, are there scans on older cards? It seems like there should have been. And when will you be getting these included in the certification database? He never responded to me. He did respond to my original tweet about the George Brett, and he deactivated that immediately. Within 10 or 15 minutes, it feels like, he had deactivated that George Brett cert. So that's good. I love when you get action like that. But you can only see the original scans on the newer slabs. So if you have an older certification, you can't see the scans. Also, another PSA employee told me instead of tweeting about these, I should email their brand integrity email address with these, and they'll get to them. You know, I'm going to stick with tweeting them out publicly on Twitter because it gets action quickly. I had a response in 10 minutes, whereas people have reported emailing brand integrity and not hearing back for months and nothing being done. So yeah, I'll keep on tweeting. So again, be careful. Look at the certification if the scan's available. Make sure the certification is active. Look over the card closely. It's just, you have to protect yourself. PSA isn't going to protect you. They're not going to do anything to protect you. There's no incentive for them to. If you have a video, I looked everywhere trying to figure out how people are opening up a slab and removing a card and then sliding another one in without breaking the slab. If you have that, if you have a video of that, I would love to see it. I found some where it's really easy with really old slabs, but this is being done with newer slabs too. So I'm curious, really love to see that. Again, subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the description of this video. You can also just go to junkwaxhero.beehiiv.com, BEEHIIV.com. Let me know what you think about this, and if this will make you more cautious when buying a slab. Thanks very much for watching.